Thanks, David.
There you go. Wes. Oh,
You're welcome, Ryan.
Is it time? We call this board meeting of the Nelson County Board of Education to order on April 16th, 2024 at 5:30 p.m. Please join us as we say the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Give it up again.
Okay, we have the Impossible Top 10 and Leadership Institute celebration.
Thank you for being here at the Guthrie Opportunity Center. This April 16th, we have a unique night because we're going to be celebrating our Leadership Institute graduates from the Nelson County Schools, along with a number of students in our Agriculture Collab, who many of you have been able to connect with prior to the meeting. That will be having an Ag Science Fair here over the next day or two. And we invite you to come back out potentially and be a part of that conversation. And finally, we'll learn a little bit about some of the work that goes on at the Guthrie Opportunity Center as we enter into a very special place in our community. I will welcome up our Human Resources Director, Kim Hogan, to also celebrate our Pride Award winners from the month of March and celebrating our top 10.
Kim.
So I wanted to ask you all to join me in celebrating this Saturday from across the district. For putting people first, we have Sarah Oliver. For reimagining possibilities, we have Mary Beth Clemens. For innovation, we have Karen Miller. For dedicated to our people, we have Holly Moody Deer, and Energize the World, we have Emily Newton. So please join me in giving these folks a round of applause.
We really do have so many things that go on in our school system. The top 10 does not fully represent all those things, but is an attempt to continue to celebrate so many of those things. Over the last 6 weeks, we've had a number of important celebrations for students, and one of those is another state championship for Riku Sugi and Bailey Holton in track and field from Thomas Nelson. GSP finalists were accepted from Nelson County and Thomas Nelson. Those were Anna Simpson, Riley Hall, Anthony Murda, Sophia Pimentel Tonch, Jared Benningfield, and Silas Colley. Okeechobee Home PSAT results this year in reading and writing were 20% higher in meeting or exceeding the reading benchmarks and 7% above the state average. Quite an impressive growth by Okeechobee Home. At our Area Technology Center, over 210 students earned their OSHA 10 certification, and 47 students across our district are going to the Skills USA state competition. Reading and math proficiency continue to increase across all of our elementary schools in the Diagnostic 3, as well as community assessment growth through quarter 3 across our district for middle school and high school students. This weekend, Nelson County High School had first place winners in the welding contest. Those are Chris Greer and Josh Edwards at a highly competitive RMAG welding event. Also, big congratulations to the staff and families at Boston, New Haven, and Bloomfield for hosting their first town hall celebrations over the past 6 weeks, inviting families in to learn more about the powerful work going on there, as well as Cox's Creek School hosting what has become a major annual celebration as they do their school-wide Bulldog Community Read. And lastly, and for those of you who are there know how important this is, the Academy team won the Spring Pride Games, and they were 71 odds. It was the greatest upset in the Pride Games history.
All right, we wanted to take some time to celebrate our Leadership Institute folks. So all these folks up here, and a couple that couldn't make it tonight, but their pictures are in the back here, just finished their capstone defense and final observation with Campbellsville University over the past couple of weeks. And really we wanted to celebrate not just some of our stats that we could celebrate. If you want to go to the next slide, Mr. Bradley, like our candidates have higher praxis scores than most EPPs around the state and nation. But what we really want to celebrate is the quality of candidates that we have with this program. Our teachers that we've been able to recruit through this program and the growth that they've shown over this year is just amazing, very impressive. And our candidates are going to show you a little bit about what they've experienced in our Option 7 program and what they've taken from Leadership Institute.
Hi, my name is Cassidy Ferguson. I'm a science teacher at the Nelson County Area Technology Center. I wanted to focus specifically on the summer portion of Leadership Institute. One thing that I took away from participating in that was human development, which allowed me to really understand my students more and then tailor my lessons to fit the needs of all my diverse learners. We know that education is not a one-size-fits-all approach, and I really try to work hard to ensure and learn that we need all kinds of different scaffolding to ensure everyone has the opportunity to learn and grow. Classroom and culture was important as well. I've worked really hard this year to ensure that I have high academic expectations and engagement, and really allowing students to feel like they have a place to belong and grow, and really just work hard to make them feel comfortable. And then lastly, being able to work on lesson plans and have hands-on strategies and techniques that I can use within the classroom has been extremely helpful. I'm just excited that I had the opportunity to go through this program.
Hi, I'm Leanne Landers, and I'm a 6th grade math teacher at Bloomfield Middle School. Go Blazers. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the professional development that we were able to receive through this program. This is a second career for me. I had many years in banking, so I know how important professional development is. And I can tell you I've been so impressed with the investment that Nelson County makes in their teachers. And I'm going to focus on 3 different types of development that we went through. The first is CKEC, that's Central Kentucky Education Cooperation, and they offer on-demand, in-person, they come to our schools. It's such a great partnership, and it allows us to receive standards-based development. And we're able to bring that into the classroom, and it's really a unique program that helps us to be highly qualified, and that's what those students deserve. Also the backpack and pathway collabs. I am just a big fan of collaborative learning from our peers and being able to meet, and we meet weekly, sometimes more than once a week, and we go and we analyze the results of our learning, and we talk to each other, and we pass along different things that we've learned. And even though I'm one of the, well, I am the oldest, I think, but I really learn a lot from all the teachers, and that was it was enriching to me. And finally, we have curriculum-based learning, which we get to hear straight from the people who offer that curriculum to us. And they come to our school and they work with us, and I just think that's so important so that we can bring that back to the classroom. And I've just been so impressed. Wonderful, wonderful program.
Don't worry, I'm not going to read all this. I do apologize for my appearance. I'm off in the middle of a tennis match out in Nelson County High School, so I ran in real quick. I'm to talk about the relationship Nelson County Schools has with Campbellsville University. You would think that we're just going through this program through Nelson County Schools. In actuality, we're in collaboration with Campbellsville University. I had to attend 4 master's program or classes to graduate this program. I've successfully done that, thank goodness. So I'm going to speak real quick. I felt confident in what I learned with the Nelson County school system portion of the program when every class I took through Campbellsville was echoing what I've learned through Nelson County schools. So props to our central administration for having the foresight and the knowledge to provide that for us. In my lesson planning, they taught me to be transparent. Nobody likes to lead the blind. So they tell me to tell my students, hey, this is where we're going. We're going to have a clear vision, so they know where we're going in the end. So that's something that we all have learned through the process, and that's something that we're carrying forward as well. And last but not least, they told me to listen to my students and be compassionate, understanding, and have an open mind, and not only to practice those, but to teach those. So that way, these lessons, our students will develop that same culture of compassion, understanding, and have an open mind and new ideas. So that way, we're not your fit-in-the-box school here at Nelson County Schools. So we encourage our students to have open minds, and they do that very well.
Hi, I'm Shelby. I'm the Start Strong Coordinator, Apprenticeship Coordinator for Nelson County Schools. So I help support all of these candidates in the program and help support Courtney. And this year I've really got to focus on building relationship with all of these candidates. I don't know if you guys know this, but these people have to do a lot of work, and it is a lot. They're not just teaching in the classroom, like they're going home every night, they're doing reflections, they're doing their coursework, they're doing their classwork, they're getting tagged in things. We're constantly bombarding them with things to do. So it's not just something that's super easy for them to go through. It is a lot of work. And so I've been able to capture that this year through their digital profile and their digital portfolio, and just being able to see their growth inside the classroom has been stellar. I've been able to work with Courtney to use the systems that she has in place and to create new systems for them to help keep them organized and on top of everything. Because like I said, I think there are probably close to 150 assignments they have to do for this. So it's a lot to keep track of and a lot of deadlines and timelines. And then lastly, I've already said it over and over, these people, they are rock stars. Just getting to watch them and work with them and see the growth. It truly is amazing what the Option 7 program is doing here in Nelson County Schools, and we're just so grateful that we have this program and Courtney and the candidates to just help lead the way. It's amazing. So I'm going to turn it back over to Courtney.
So during the capstone defense process and the final observation with Campbellsville University, they're looking at all the artifacts, all the evidences that our candidates have produced over the course of the year and the summer. And we've worked with 4 different professors, including the Dean of the College of Education. And every time we worked with a professor, all 4 of them, they told me, you all are so lucky to have this teacher. Where did you find this candidate? I can't believe what I'm seeing in this classroom. I want to see this in every classroom. And every single time I said, I know, we are so lucky. They are so amazing. And it has been such a pleasure to work with you guys. So thank you all for joining Leadership Institute, and thank you all for choosing Nelson County Schools.
Okay, moving on to the student showcase. Ms. Tucker.
So we were so excited in January. We were so excited in January to host a diverse learning transition event. This was the first time that we have had an event like this where we pulled community partners together. So we had vocational rehabilitation, we had Active Day, we had fabulous community partners like Rebart, and that was led by our high school diverse learning teams. Because we know that the purpose of all the work that we do is to ensure that our diverse learning students have a successful transition to adult life. And because we had this event, if you go on to that next slide, we know that the future is local. And so Clayton Freeman and his fabulous family were able to connect with the amazing Rebart family that is a continued community partner for the Nelson County Schools. And so from that, and that transition, like, I know you're like a celebrity. Clayton, what did you earn after that night? What did you have?
Pizza.
Okay, you had pizza, yes. And now, what do you do every day? You go to where?
Rebart, Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, and then Renee and Adam are saying if I do good, I get to work Thursday.
That we love about Clayton is his work ethic. And so when we are uniting people like Renee and Bart and Adam, with teachers like Ms. Hurst, with students like Clayton Freeman, then we see beautiful things come of that. And I asked Clayton, I said, what is the first thing that you're going to buy with your first paycheck? What was it, Clayton?
Elvis Presley album.
Yes. So we know that we're making money. We know that we're contributing to the family, and Clayton is having a successful transition to adult life. And that is really, as a diverse learning team, that is what we want to see. And so I really want to take the time not only to tell Clayton what a fabulous job he's doing, but to really celebrate continuous partnership that we have with Rebart. So I'll ask Renee, when you think about the partnership that we have with the Nelson County Schools, what is something that you continuously value as we work together?
So many things. We'll start with that. So many things. This precious baby is in my life now. And but we've had other students that have joined us here, and they're a great match. We have great support from Nelson County Schools, and we get a lot of precious babies like this, and they stay. And we always say, come here, learn skills, get your confidence, and then you can go work someplace else if you like, or you're welcome to stay here, and they stay with us. So I'm a very lucky mama because I get all of these babies every single day. I get to work with my son. My other son is actually the inspiration for the company. My husband and I started 7 years ago. We've had some students come in, they get skills, and they move on. I see them around town, and I'm so proud of them, and they just go everywhere. So we celebrate them coming to us, learning how to work. What does it mean to be on time? What does it mean when you go to lunch? What does it mean when the day is over? And what does it mean to get pizza? He'll celebrate the hard work in addition to that paycheck. So we've been very, very grateful for Madeline and everybody that we've worked with. So thank you very much.
Also very important that we think about really the partnership that the classroom has with community partnerships. And so I'll let Ms. Hurst just talk briefly about this place specifically and how it housed Rebart at the beginning, and now they've transitioned, but really what does that look like from a classroom perspective?
So working with these students, it is diverse learning. They have diverse needs, and that transfers over to diverse needs for work situations also. We started out, shifting this program, and we used the Guthrie Opportunity Center to really find what our students need. Part of that was Rebart. The kids loved seeing that. It was an ideal to them to work there, and those places and this place here, it really gave the foundation for us to figure out, okay, let's, find things to make them shine. And Clayton's definitely found what makes him shine. But it takes years to develop that. And this partnership has lasted those years, and I'm positive beyond, because we still come out to the Guthrie Opportunity Center. We still work on work skills, and our product is our students finding jobs that make them happy.
Thank you all very much.
You know what Adam looks like? The Rock.
All right, if we can I have all of my Agroscience Fair students come stand over here on Mr. Goodlett? Mr. Goodlett, give us a wave. We want to showcase you specifically and how many of you turned out tonight. My name is Claire West. I'm going to talk as they begin making their way to show how many students are here. I am a teacher at Nelson County High School and one of the leaders in the Nelson County Schools Ag Collab. And I think when you take a moment to look at the amount of students and families that have come out to this board meeting tonight, it shows that when our students have a purpose, they show up and their families show up. And it has been my honor to be a part of the Agriculture Collab and provide a purpose and experiences like the Agroscience Fair for so many of our students across Nelson County schools. So a little brief history, the Agroscience Fair began for us in Nelson County schools when the Ag Collab was formed during a winter professional development that Mr. Hammond and I went to. And we watched other teachers talk about what happens in their program with the Agroscience Fair, made eye contact across the room and said, we can do this. And now it's kind of become our thing. So we are honored to be here for our 3rd annual Agroscience Fair, which challenges students to create a research project based on their own individualized learning and interest, solving a problem that they see fit. These students from January to now, some of them even start their research earlier, they spend a lot of their own time conducting this research, following the scientific method. And what's most impressive on our front is that a lot of these kids are picking something that they care about. And watching them spend so much of their time into something they care about is exciting for us. More so, it has some pretty high academic rigor. We are building in science curriculum. There's a lot of leadership and public speaking through this. And most importantly, if you notice Mr. Hammond's stack here and throughout, our students have to write a written report. This is a college-level written research report. Most of them are from 12 to 15 pages. Some of our students who are really competitive, theirs are over 20. And knowing that we have some of our freshman students who are engaged in this program, Mr. Goodlet has a group of 7th and 8th graders here who wrote a paper at this level, writing a literature review, citing an APA. These are real skills our students are receiving in the Agroscience Fair. I'm going to pass it on to 2 of our awesome students who are going to share a brief touch of their experience in the Agroscience Fair, locally and state level. Miss Chloe Brady's up first.
As Ms. West said, I'm Chloe Brady. I'm a junior in the Collab, and even though I'm a junior, through the opportunities given to me through the Ag Collab, I actually get to graduate this year instead, and I will be attending Bellarmine University in the honors program for biomedical engineering, which actually I found my passion through the Agroscience Fair. My freshman year, when this all started, I went to the state level. I did not make it past that, so I developed a passion and motivation, and last year I went at the state level, was disappointed when I wasn't a national finalist, but the rankings came out and I placed 11th in the nation. So this year, we're back at it again, hoping to go big or go home. Now I'll pass it over to Jake Ball, a sophomore in Ag Collab.
Hi, my name is Jake Ball. I'm from New Haven. And last year, as a freshman, I got to go to the state level, and me and my partner, Peyton Thompson, got the experience to compete and win as our first year doing it, which was kind of surprising, but it was fun. And just doing the Agroscience Fair has helped me become a better speaker and a writer because, I don't know, it's just, we placed well. So she did a little bit better than me, but I think we still did good. But I mean, it's been a lot of fun these past couple of years, and I don't think that I would be where I am now if it wasn't for the things that I'm doing and the people that I've been with, especially my ag teachers. So.
Yeah, we presented a few board meetings ago and we talked about our national finalists. And you kind of get to see some of those results there on the board, just kind of referencing those and knowing that we've had success. Now, we hope to enhance those numbers next year. I mean, and you see this. This is a story of growth. And if you understand that when we started this, our Agroscience Fair took place in the multipurpose room at Nelson County. Last year, it was in the hallway at Nelson County High School. This year, you see this. So we've increased our numbers as far as students presenting projects. The number that we're at now is 112. I think we have 112 different projects that are on display in this room. That's special. Again, you heard 14-page papers. I don't ever remember writing that in high school. I mean, I was probably not willing to do that. And if the teacher asked me to do that, I probably struggled. And a lot of these kids do. But the fact that they've made it to this point, this is a finish line moment that tomorrow and tonight, they're showcasing the work that they've done in order to be successful in this project. If you can advance the slide. Just a little bit about our Ag Collab and our signals and benefits here. You see that one of our goals is to make sure that students have professional ties in the agricultural industry. We do that through a variety of ways, through site visits, doing job shadowing opportunities. We're working on another project right now where we're getting kids out in our community with different partners. But even the Agroscience Fair, we're encouraging students to reach out to professionals in the industry and try to get feedback on some of those things. And so we asked our sophomore and junior students to list out who are your professional contacts within the ag industry, and 90% of them had at least 5. I think that's something to celebrate when you come to thinking about the number of students that we have in our program and the diversity that we have. 90% saying that they have 5 professional ties is very special. We also asked our 2025 Ag Collab seniors if they plan to have an ag-based, profession-based experience. 77% of them said that they were going to have a profession-based experience in agriculture. And so again, if you build programs and you build opportunities, students are going to follow, and they're going to fall in love with what you're building. If we look at the last one here, and this is related directly to our Agroscience Fair, 78% of our Ag Collab students scored independent or higher, meaning that they were above a 70-point range on the Agroscience Fair Writing Community Assessment. So 78%. We have 23% growth from last year's papers to this year's papers. And so we're seeing 23% growth from last year to this year. I'm pretty floored by these numbers, realistically, because, again, this is a growth story, and I'm glad you're here to share it with us. The last thing I'd like to say is I would strongly encourage any of you to talk to any of these kids. Look at this stack of papers. I mean, it's pretty impressive, right? So, including your board members, please look through some of these. They're awesome.
I like the fishy ones.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate all your all's time. Celebrate these kids for me, please. Oh, one last thing. Our Agroscience Fair students, you are free to go. If you want to stay for the board meeting, absolutely, please do. But now is your time to make a hasty exit if you'd like.
Hasty.
We'll be pretty straightforward in this conversation. If Ms. King, Ms. Clark, and Ms. Perrier are here, we're just going to talk a little bit about some of the work going on. This was originally at the end of the agenda. We just moved it up so we could acknowledge this work. Ms. King is here. I know she's here. Okay. The mic's over there. So we want to take a moment and just celebrate some of the work going on. Again, this is originally at the end of the agenda. We just moved it up. The point of this is to talk about some of the work going on as we unite families and students and staff at Okeechobee Home Middle School. This is something we've been working on since late January, and we just wanted to celebrate some of the work going on because last week was a big week, this week's a big week, and just hearing a little bit about that work.
I'm sure I will not do all the work that OKH staff, New Haven staff, Boston staff, as well as Ms. Breer, Ms. Case. I'm sure there's a million other people that we can list. I will not do it justice. Ms. Breer had planned on being here until just a little bit ago, and she got ill, so she wasn't be able to make it. A couple of the things that we have continued to do and support our families through are giving them opportunities to be at OKH. Our students have gotten a trip over to OKH to be able to see what that looks like, to transition, to meet people. We are gearing up. Our staff this afternoon actually met with OKH staff as well to start preparing, finalizing for Thursday to welcome our families to that event where they will host and talk about the opportunities that exist next year, to begin this discussion around scheduling so that our students are prepared to make those decisions over the upcoming weeks. Each week, we are continuing, some of this stuff may be repetitive, sorry. Each week, we continue to meet as an administrative team, all principals talking through anything that we need to prepare for the next week when it comes to transitioning, whether that's for students, families, administrators, and teachers. Again, collaborating to make sure that all students' needs are met
and that everyone has a successful transition in the fall. I will not.
This past Friday, students also participated in a scheduling event, and this Thursday, families will be uniting. Ms. King, anything you want to add?
Yes, I can say that as a mom as well as a principal, from the students' perspective, like kind of seeing them coming back and things, I wasn't able to go with them on the trips. I had to stay back and be in the school. There's a lot of really, really good energy. Initially, they were tense and it was the unknown and things like that. From the students, they came with a certain vulnerability that is not common in middle school, if you guys know middle schoolers. But from both sides. So my Boston guys went, and my son, we live in Hardin County, and he's going to E-Town schools. We've got to go the other way. He was very disappointed that he's not going to OKH now, and he made friends, and he was just really, really jazzed about it. And this is a 5th grade student that doesn't get excited about much. So I can say that from the students' perspective, there has been a lot of really, really authentically positive energy. So all the hard work that you're doing, Missy, and everybody else, and Mandy, and again, so many names, it really is paying off. And the students, it's been a really, really great collaboration between students and teachers and all of that. So.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, moving on to guest comments. Thank you for attending our Nelson County School Board meeting. Any person wishing to address the board may do so by following these rules. Individuals representing themselves are limited to 3 minutes. If you're representing a group, you're limited to 5 minutes. So you're going to step forward, state your name, and then state the name of the group if you are representing a group. And just a reminder, we do this every time, but public criticism of an individual staff member or individual board member is prohibited. Since no individual board member may act on behalf of the board, concerns about board's actions should be directed to the board as a whole. So let's see. On the list, first we have Bill Osborne. Bill? Okay, good. Okay, so we're going to pass there. Next on the list is Damon Jackie.
Is this an individual or a group?
I signed up as a group. Damon Jackie, Winfield Road, where I signed up. The second group is Jackie 6+4. So when I sign up to speak, I usually think of myself as an individual, but I would like to thank past speakers for paving the way so that individuals can simply count the number of family members they have here and in other states, and then be allowed 5 minutes to speak. Maybe this approach should be better called by another term, dysfunction. While we have yet to hear a public statement by the board, I wanted to share with you some very telling statements from the letter dated April 5th that was sent to the chair. Local boards of education are vested with discretion in removing superintendents, quote, when any legal cause is charged and supported by any evidence of a substantial nature. The word cause in this context has been defined as a legal cause that is a cause relating to and affecting the administration of the office and restricted to something of a substantial nature, directly affecting the rights and interests of the public. One ground for removal, if approved by competent and relevant evidence, is sufficient to justify removal. Having reviewed the charges and related information and having investigated the matter, I conclude that the board has not set forth competent and relevant evidence of a substantial nature supporting at least one ground for removal. The simple word cause has a legal definition that it sounds like a first-year law student would understand. To me, this possibly sheds light onto why Eric Ferris resigned as board attorney. In his letter to these 5 board members dated December 20th, he stated, I will not elaborate here, but we are unable to reconcile our duty to the board and certain ethical concerns. Most likely, this was the first attempt by the chair to terminate for a cause that Mr. Ferris rightfully pushed back. At that time, I'm sure he clearly and correctly advised the board they did not have legal cause. Of course, the legal advice of an attorney who has decades of educational law experience in Kentucky did not deter the current board, who shopped around for an attorney who would do her bidding, whether it was good legal advice for the board or not. In the 13-page decision letter, you can obviously recognize the volume of time that was put into ensuring the decision was based on the foundations of law and evidence. On the other hand, was evidence provided by the chair in form of affidavits, many notarized by herself, and from former staff members who had been dismissed not just from employment in the Nelson County, but multiple districts in Kentucky, as well as current claimants in a lawsuit originally spearheaded by the chair against the district. A clear statement has been made to the chair in this letter sent to her. What is clear from the investigation is that there has been a tremendous amount of dysfunction. As elected officials, local board members are elected to hear from and represent the interest of all constituents, and board meetings should allow opportunities for transparency and public input. Board meetings have not been productive or inviting. While at least one current board member used fear-mongering this time last year when the Cognia audit was released to imply that the state was going to take over the district, what has actually come to fruition is what this board should fear the most: being identified as dysfunctional and being told that the state will investigate further the work of the board. And the result could be the board being placed in the management improvement program and possibly be designated as either a state-assisted district or even a state-managed district. Yet through all of this dysfunction and chaos that was created by 4 members and financially influenced by a few people, Superintendent Bradley, his leadership team, every principal, and most importantly, the classroom teachers have continued to forge ahead with a focus on what should be driving every decision and action, what is best for students going forward, and not what is easiest for adults who are living in the past. Individual students, academic and athletic teams, and even schools have brought home state recognition and awards in both athletics and academics. Other districts around Kentucky are mirroring and publicly sharing their approach to assessing students that goes far beyond a single test score that is a moment in time. Actually, we see that here tonight with the Ag Fair. I'll close by asking this community to continue to demand the board and their chair truly demonstrate transparency and community engagement, and not let it simply be a campaign phrase that so far has been so quickly shoved aside. I will challenge us as community members to still stay involved and vigilant that the work of this board is not allowed to continue to be dysfunctional, but is focused on hearing from and representing the interests of all constituents, which also means holding the chair accountable to engaging with the community in constructive and not dysfunctional ways.
Time. Thank you. Next, we have Tom Hibbs. Tom Hibbs.
You know, after watching the FFA group, wow, they are really good. And the teachers that are doing that, obviously, are under good leadership. I hope the board will take the opportunity to rectify what they have done in the past and get on with leading this school and these students to do what you've seen tonight. Thank you.
Matt Hoyes.
I'm representing the group.
First off, I want to thank you all for taking on this role of public service. You put yourselves under a tremendous amount of scrutiny, open yourselves up to criticism, and I hope it's all because you care so deeply about the communities that you serve. And most of us here tonight, representing Thomas Nelson High School, fill a variety of different roles. Some of us are parents, some are teachers, some coaches, administrators, concerned community members, but mostly we're stakeholders. We've been deeply invested in those students that will be walking across that stage in a few weeks, all of those that have walked across it previously, and intend to support all of those that will walk across it in the future. Personally, I'm a transplant. I haven't just turned 50. It's hard to say out loud. I've now lived in Nelson County as long as I've lived anywhere, but I'm not an expert on the history of Nelson County or even Nelson County schools, but I'm immensely grateful for the career I've been afforded here. I started in the district as a long-term sub teaching K-8 art at New Haven School in 2005. The next summer, I was hired by Glenn Spalding to teach at Bloomfield Middle School. In the spring of 2007, I started as an assistant track coach in Nelson County, where I supported for 6 years under one of the finest educators that ever worked in this district, Dan Bradley. My son Lane went to daycare at the Swamp back when Foster Heights was the Gators. He then went on to Boston. My younger kids have attended Montessori, my daughter the ELC, and both are now at Cox's Creek. I worked at Bloomfield for 5 years and 1 year as a classified staff at Nelson County High School in their PASS program, and I've served 4 superintendents and many boards. All the while, I felt supported. I tell you all this because I don't want you to think that I just walked through the doors to a bright and shiny Thomas Nelson High School and started drinking the Wes Bradley Kool-Aid or worshiping Uncle West. And none of us did. I mean, heck, some people came over kicking and screaming, asked Laura Cornish. But we got on board. We saw the vision for the future of the kids in that school, for the community it served, and I was encouraged to have my own vision to see it through. And I've never felt more supported. The Thomas Nelson student body is a pretty good snapshot of our community. Of course, it's primarily Boston, New Haven kids from Rooster Run and Western Cox's Creek. If you look close, it's like Bardstown City Schools, kids from Fairfield, LJ, Washington, LaRue. Some kids spent their first 8 years in parochial schools, and all of these families made a choice. And they saw something that made them want to send their kids into that school, our school. Was it the crazy acronyms or the purple cows, the oatmeal eating, the moose hunting, the answer to how always being yes? Probably not. More than likely, it was a culture of care. There was a driven staff, helping students, and leadership that was unwavering in their support of excellence. And they felt supported. Now we're about to send our 11th graduating class into the world. Some will enter the workforce, some will go off to college or the military. Some are going to put down their roots right here in Nelson County, and then they are becoming the stakeholders. We hope that they've always felt supported. I never dreamt that 18 years into my career I'd be attending board meetings and town halls fearful for the school alignment plan that's going to affect my kindergartner or my second grader, or I'd be standing in front of our board asking for your support. I never thought I'd be researching where candidates' campaign financing came from. Never thought I'd be vocally supporting certain candidates over others. I didn't want to have to read almost 150 pages of documents, but I did, and here we are. To quote one of these now public documents, you don't get involved in campaigns. There are repercussions to that. Your employees took a huge risk when they campaigned against me, and my frustration with teachers is sky high. They broke something that's irreparable. There's things you don't do. Well, we did, and now you're on this board, and we're here asking for your support, and this needs to be repaired. And after passing plans to renovate New Haven, a sorely needed update that has to happen. Turns campus into a K-5 school, and at that time there's no decision where to send those middle schoolers. But Ms. Deaton had a plan, and she passed it around, and 15 minutes later, we're going to OKH. And 2 members voted no, but where were you going to send them? So, to quote this public document again, the teachers know we're teaching students how to lose. I'm very concerned about Thomas Nelson. They have some very negative stuff going on there. I don't see that. I'm not going to stand here and celebrate my program state titles. Teaching is hard, and I'm proud of the work we do. I'm honored to work alongside some of the finest educators that ever served Nelson County schools. And again, to quote this document, I have the votes for one high school. Y'all want to be here, you better get in line. We're not here to get in line. We are here holding the line. We're here in unwavering support of our students. We need your support. We need you to listen to the committed staff of this district. Elections have consequences isn't putting our students first. We are putting our students first, and we need your support. We're imploring you, please work with us moving forward.
Thank you. Rebecca Dye.
I'm just speaking for me, myself. Rebecca Dye, 1476 Marsden Road, Boston, Kentucky. Superintendent Bradley, it's good to see you sitting there. Board, it's nice to see you all. It's been going on for quite a while now, guys. Like many other people in this room, I've recently read hundreds of pages of our shame that's been thrown around the state about our Nelson County schools. A theme that permeates all the documentation is a cry for the board to be transparent. The same thing the other speakers have asked for is what I'm asking for. But I believe you all can do this, and I think you want to do it, so let's start over and do it. Under your own code, the Nelson County Board of Education Code, everybody on the board has an obligation to govern effectively and with integrity, emphasize student achievement, and practice good stewardship of the district's human, financial, and property resources. That's exactly what I'm asking y'all to do. It's clear from some of the state officials and the letters that have come out that some people think our system is wallowing in dysfunction. That system is not what I see celebrated here tonight. What I see celebrated here tonight are people that care about kids, and I'm just asking that we support them as a community and as a board. From the state, they didn't use the word wallowing in dysfunction. That was mine. That was the only way I thought it could probably get any worse. I don't want to live in the past. I don't think you all do. Like the gentleman before me, I'm going to quote the documents I read. What you allow will continue, and this community is not going to allow the nonsense to continue. We have to move our kids forward. Will this board continue to act in dysfunction and let the state take us over, or can we work together as a board, as a community, just as stakeholders, and get to something that isn't so adversarial, but that is actually for kids first? I had some other things on here from the documents that just aren't very nice, and it really doesn't do anything but wind people up to read them. And I can't do it after all the celebration I saw here tonight. I quit talking at board meetings because I get so emotional over this. And it's just got to stop. We have to support our teachers, our community. And saying ugly things, quoting people on ugly stuff is not going to make it better. What's going to make it better is all of us understanding that we all want to be here. It doesn't matter what line you're in. It really doesn't matter who's first in the line. What matters is all the kids that are at the end of the line that wouldn't have ever made it through but for the work that this district is doing. So let's just quit worrying about what line's here and line is there and work together and put our kids first. Thank you.
Thank you. And last we have Jeff Parrish.
Jeff Parrish from New Haven, here representing New Haven parents as a group. Mr. Bradley, so thankful to see you here tonight, still providing leadership and guidance for the education of my children, along with the rest of Nelson County Public Schools. I'm also very thankful for the opportunity to have a meeting that stakeholders can attend at 5:30 in the afternoon, not during the day. I greatly do appreciate that. Since the last time I spoke in February, I sought one-on-one conversations to get some questions answered from my group. I was unfortunately not warranted that opportunity. So I'm here again as a parent representing a large group, begging you to speak to us and answer our questions. We'll be quiet. We'll give you the opportunity. Will you actually do it? I've read almost every letter of the document you submitted to KDE as a board. I read the document Mr. Bradley submitted in response. I've attended court hearings to try and gain education on what's really happening in the current board. While it's good to finally get some clarity on what's been going on the last year, I can't help but think where we would be if you as a board could have just shown up, listened to us stakeholders, and provide some communication. I don't want to waste time on the time you have wasted, so let's get right to the questions we like answers on. Please answer. Why did you vote on the OKH plan instead of the plans that principals supported? Please explain to us what qualifies you to make that decision over their recommendation. Why can't parents get a choice on where our kids go? Let's not drive a wedge of the community further by making folks agree to your plan. Please let parents vote where they want their kids to go. Let our teachers, principals, and transportation experts figure out the best approach as we pay them to do. Why can't we follow the current DFP? If we're so adamant as a board to make ad hoc changes as where kids go, why not request another one and do things the right way? It seems like you are making things far more difficult on yourselves and this community than needs to be. Let's at least agree to one thing. This isn't about me. This isn't about you. This is about the children in this community. Where's the traffic study? We're going to put parents and student drivers on a 2-lane road, and it seems dangerous to me. Why do this temporary thing when we have long-term options? Can we try something bigger than what was done in the 60s? The plan for OKH literally takes New Haven back to where we were during Woodstock to go back to OKH. Why force another transition for kids? Why not allow these middle schoolers to join their siblings at Thomas Nelson if they choose and start building relationships and they're already playing sports there? Where's the research showing 600 middle schoolers or 1,500 high schoolers is actually a better opportunity and provides better graduation rates? We are still waiting to hear what you would do if your child was in Boston or New Haven going into 8th grade. Would you do this? I have a son who will be in the 8th grade next year, and he would also love to hear your response to that. There's been a claim that all of our comments have been full of venom. Any open records request can prove that's not true. Asking elected officials questions is not hateful. Asking an elected official to be transparent is not hateful. Asking the board to justify their choices is not hateful. It's called being a caring parent. This community is full of caring parents who need this board to step up and answer us. You can have my remaining time to do just that.
Moving on, I think the next item is the monthly consent agenda. Sir, I'm going to repeat. We're going to do better, guys, in these meetings, and that's going to involve you all cannot. This is a board meeting. We're trying to do business, okay? So this is just a warning. Let's just allow us to do business.
Never made it to talk at all, so I'm going to get at least 1 minute.
Okay, so next up we have the monthly consent agenda. Superintendent Bradley, is there anything you want to report there?
No.
Okay, so we've looked through these items A through G. Do I have a motion to accept the monthly consent agenda?
Motion.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, second. All in favor?
Aye.
No opposed? Motion passes. Okay. Personnel notifications. The board acknowledges receipt of personnel notifications. No action is required on this. All right, Ms. Shearhorn, grant applications and acceptance.
Good evening. Tonight I come before you to ask for permission to apply for a grant. It's fiscal year 24 Fatherhood Engagement Grant. 4 of our schools are wanting to apply for this grant. It will enable them to provide opportunities for fathers to get involved in the school day as well as an active part of after-school activities. Sorry. It will also enable them to provide program supplies for those activities. So I move that the board approve submission of the fiscal year 24 Fatherhood Engagement Grant application.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the application as presented?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, all right. You got a motion? A second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you. And while I'm up here, I'm going to take a minute to update you on our grant activity since August, just to refresh your memory on things that we have accomplished since August when I took over from Dr. Karen Lee. Since then, we have been awarded $160,000 of reading grants. As you can see on the summary sheet, the highlighted ones are the ones that we have been awarded since August of 2023. And then if you add all that up, it's over 1.8 million that we've been awarded since then.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Student safety and well-being, we received several of those grants. I wanted to highlight those because we're able to offer a lot of important work through those with our school mental health program and our Care and Connect structures. We've also been awarded some grants that help with our CTE work. Any questions about those?
That's pretty awesome. So the total at the bottom is
$21,916,387.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Good job.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on, the maintenance bids and bid approvals.
So we have two action items here in relation to bids. One is to open bids up for custodial services, and then the second motion is to accept the bids as highlighted for lawn care, pest control, and paving.
Can you just talk a little bit about the process we go through, Kevin, for the bidding?
Yeah, so on the paving, you'll notice that May goes a little bit higher than Louisville Paving Company. The reason for that, every year if we've got some budget left, we try to pick a spot that we can fix that really needs it. And the square footage cost there was no-brainer. That's why we went with Mako on that. And they are also tied in with Tennis Technologies on Thomas Nelson's tennis court, so it made sense to have them at the same spot and not two companies, out there. Next, this is our project. We actually have a 20-year plan that we trying to go by, which we do have to go. We look at every school, even though it's on the list, something may come up that has to be done instead of that. So we do look at that and try to get this plan in place. Bardstown Enterprise was the only bid on the pest control. They do all our schools, kitchen, cafeterias, and then extra things that we might need. King's Mowing, they were the only bid for the regular school mowing. And then Hordes Landscaping does all of our sports fields, real mows, does our field agreements, and things like that.
How's the King's mowing bid compared to last year? I know it's up a little.
It went up just, I think last year it was $4,600, it went up to $5,000, but we did add the property at Thomas Nelson.
That's
where
right.
the house was. We had to mow it. And he hadn't went up in 2 years, so we were pretty lucky to get him.
Yeah. These are annual bids. We're just updating the board on the recommendations. Any questions regarding these particular bids?
Do you know what the total amount was between Mago and Louisville Paving? Do you know what the difference was on those?
About $600.
$600, okay.
Yeah. And those numbers are up there, David. $237,845 compared to $238,500. It would have took not very many square feet to make that up. So
you're right.
Yeah.
Well, I do appreciate the new lining that's on the drive that goes through the board.
The city of Bardstown did that for us.
Well, I appreciate it
I
because
actually called.
people were crazy when they came out of there.
Yeah. So we got with the city because we're trying to look at ways to make it better with all the traffic going to Okeechobee home and put a turning lane in or something. So we're looking at that.
Good.
And he said, yeah, I know you need turning lanes down there. We're supposed to do. And I'm like, you're at the wrong end, buddy. But we appreciate it.
Yes, we do. We certainly do.
So I guess we could go ahead and make a motion then to approve the bids for lawn care services, paving services, and pest control for the
That's
fiscal
right.
year 2025? I'll make a motion. Does anybody second?
Second.
All right, second, all in favor? Aye. None opposed? Okay, passes. And then, was there something about custodial cleaning services?
Well, the main reason we want to put the bid back out is we're not getting the clarification that we need in the bid we've had for 3 years. You know, they come out, if we have an NTI day, they don't show up. And we need clarification, me and Melissa and our staff, when they're going to be at school, who's going to be working. So that is the main reason we're doing it. And these are a list of things that we really want to put out there.
Okay, so do we have a motion to approve the Nelson County Schools to open bids for custodial cleaning services?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Ms. Milver made a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, Ms. Bowling, all in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, motion passes. Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay, this is maybe the third time that this has been on our agenda. We've been seeking legal counsel, and I know that everybody on the board has seen the various resumes and whatnot that have gone through. We have one from Waters Law Group, Christopher Allen, and then we received one from Tim Crawford. So does anyone have any comments, or, after looking, does anyone want to make a motion?
Is it possible that is Mr. Crawford?
He is.
Would
Yes.
you mind sharing a little bit about yourself with the community?
You hear me with this?
There you go.
Yes, sir.
The first time I was in federal court in London, I left. They wanted to know if I was a preacher. And when I left church and made the first announcements in London, they asked me if I was a lawyer. So we'll see what we do. I hail from the mountains of eastern Kentucky, a family that was very active in PTA, PTO, fundraising for sports, bands, athletic facilities, getting a football field fixed and prepared by a coal company. I practiced school law, as we say in Kentucky, since 1991. My first assignment in 1991 was a school district that was ranked 176 out of 176. They were under state management, and I helped to assist them into coming out of state management, and they achieved a top 10% rating a few years later. Another school district in Kentucky, the state forced the resignation of all 5 board members and the superintendent. And the state commissioner asked me to help the state manager to assist them in getting 5 board members appointed and the hiring of a new superintendent. They're functioning well now. Another school district early in that time also had federal and state criminal investigations ongoing, and I helped negotiate all of those things away, and their middle school now is in the top 10 in the state of Kentucky. I was also asked to represent 20 years ago one state education co-ops. A state official had parked $1 million grant there and unfortunately was submitting false invoices to her husband. And I helped negotiate the feds in the state to go away there. That co-op now has added a second office, Ashland and Lexington, and it comprises 77 school districts in the state of Kentucky. I represent them. I also represent another education co-op, Southeast Education Co-op out of London, Kentucky. That's 22 of the state school districts. I also provide a lot of training for the school board attorneys here in Kentucky, have for years, and I conduct a lot of personnel training for superintendents and principals in the state of Kentucky. And I currently do and have represent dozens of districts around the state of Kentucky, ranging from Ashland to Jenkins to Cumberland Falls and many points in between, and some in western Kentucky. So I have a degree from Berea College. I have a master's in public administration, and my specialty there was government administration, and a law degree from the University of Kentucky.
Okay.
That's a little
Thank you.
of my background.
And that's awesome. You had a lot of people that I spoke with, or not a lot, a few people that I spoke with that spoke very highly of you.
Thank you.
And I appreciate you taking time to drive this direction tonight, because you're not just a hop, skip, and a jump away from us.
But I represent several districts, so an hour and a half to 2 hours from where I live, and my office is in Corbin, Kentucky, just below Colonel Sanders' original restaurant. And my building is the first bank in Corbin where he banked. So,
So to be clear, this appointment would be replacing Eric Ferris that resigned in December, and also limited board counsel that we hired in January. Is that clear?
Well, I think it would be replacing Eric Ferris and limited board counsel at some point, but I don't know. There may be a few things he's covering right now. So the goal would be to phase him out, but I don't think this would automatically take care of that just yet.
Can you explain a little bit more about that?
Well, I think there's some litigation that he's been assisting us in, and I do anticipate that he would be done. I mean, I think the goal is absolutely for Mr. Thompson to move on, but right now I don't know that he was just helping us on specific things.
Right.
So
I think that's because again, I think we have to be really clear because I think the community expected, and to be honest, I expected that he would be finished once we hired counsel.
Well, and I think we could probably at the next meeting get a clarification on that, because I mean, that is ultimately the goal, yes. But it's my understanding that whomever we hire would be handling all the things, at some point taking over all representation for our board, yeah.
Well, the reason why I'm bringing this up is the cost that it's the district right now. So as of today, and that's with one outstanding statement, we're about $70,000 to legal fees since January 3rd. And what's typically allocated for the school district is about $30,000 for the year. So last year we spent $128 roughly in legal fees, and again allocated $30,000. The year before that allocated $30,000, and I think we were a little under that. So we've really grown in how many council members we have representing this Board of Education. And I'm also concerned with our current limited council sort of having some connections with plaintiffs or previous plaintiffs on a lawsuit against the district. So I really think we need to have some really good clarification about when his date of ending for our service is. So yeah, if we could have that by the next meeting, I would appreciate it.
I think that would be fine. Perfect. Yeah, I think we could do that. So we have these applicants. Does anyone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion for Mr. Crawford. I think he has an excellent resume. And like I said, the people that I've spoken with have really felt that he's added a lot to their district.
Okay. Do I have a motion? I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. We got a second. So all in favor? Aye. None opposed? All right, motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
All right. All right, Mr. Martin, the master bill schedule.
So this is an annual item that the board will approve. So this is really the start and end times for each of the schools throughout our district. As a legal instructional requirement, our schools are required to have so many instructional hours throughout the course of the year. The start and end times obviously meets that requirement when you look at the number of days that we're projecting for the calendar for next year. Really the start and end time, a big component of that is obviously transportation and busing. If you ever speak with Mr. Marchese and Mr. O'Brien, there are a lot of moving parts there. And really the goal is to obviously provide consistency year to year for families, but also try to figure out how can we continue to optimize that by possibly shifting those times 5 or 10 minutes one way or the other. And across the district, that really allows us to get students in very efficiently and get them out of the building very efficiently. So the start end times that are there on the master bell schedule link are very similar to what they are now. There's just simply 5 or 10 minute adjustments in some cases, again, to optimize for transportation across the district. So really the ask is to approve these start end times as presented.
So I do have one question regarding the bell schedule, only because I'm not sure where we are as far as transportation goes with Boston and New Haven kids making this transition. Do we sort of have an idea of how many more kids are going to be on the bus? Is there going to be a need for us to change that bell schedule? Or is
essentially those, right. So, Mr. Marchese could speak to that some, but The start end time conversation, I was very involved with both of them, and they've looked at it. I've asked them numerous times, have you seen any gaps here? And they've really approved it and looked through it several times.
Right now, we have about half of our expected riders who have completed online registration. We won't know those numbers until OLR kicks in fully. The goal with these times was to allow the buses to leave OKH and get to New Haven and get to Boston. This is a 25-minute trip, so if OKH releases at 3:20, then we're already at 3:45, 3:50. So if we can back them up 10 minutes, same with Bloomfield and Cox's Creek, we can get those Bloomfield buses to Cox's Creek loaded and get them out and get kids home a lot sooner.
Thank you. Okay, do we have a motion to approve the master bell schedules as presented?
Motion?
I'll second. Okay. All in favor? Aye. None opposed? All right, thank you. All right.
So tonight we're going to look at the final allocations. Again, this is just a reminder. You're looking at, what teachers or how many teachers per se will be inside each of our schools. Again, this is largely driven based upon projections. This is just a reminder of this is a very ongoing conversation that we've had, really started in December, and we're here now to look at those final allocations. Just some notable shifts as a reminder, we've talked about this at the K-5 level, really looking to reduce class sizes on average of about 3 kids a class. And really what that means is more certified teachers inside those schools to service those students. That estimated as a $400,000 investment. When you look at the administrative allocations in the buildings, we are shifting some students around, but we're not closing any buildings per se, so those administrative allocations are roughly the same when you look at this previous year.
We did make shifts, and I've shared this with the board. We did make shifts at Boston, New Haven, and Bloomfield Elementary School this year with a halftime assistant principal and a halftime backpack leader. That, again, was just a part of the downsizing that's occurred at those schools, as well as enrollment under 300 students, which was kind of the standard we had established prior to the pandemic. That's noted here. So I bring this up because that's the only changes we've made since February to this?
Correct.
Correct. So I just wanted to note that here with those shifts.
Yeah. Projections are obviously a bit more accurate now than they were back in January, so I feel a bit more confident in those. But essentially, you're approving the certified teacher allocation, which you'll see here. You're approving the classified, and then also the Section 6, which is really the spending money that's allotted to schools that's controlled really by SBDM and the principals.
I'm always surprised, like the librarian, we have 2 librarians for the whole district. Does that present a problem? I mean, in terms of utilizing the resources we have in these media centers and whatnot, the libraries?
I can speak to that. I believe it was 2019, the board made a decision to shift towards 2 district-wide media specialists. At the time, the shift was made to reallocate that money towards backpack leaders. As you see here today, that investment we made was essentially just a reallocation of those resources. Again, that decision was also made based on where we thought we would be able to impact student learning through instructional coaching. Those roles shifted a bit at schools over the last 4 years, partly due to some of the staffing that occurred during the pandemic. But as you see, the backpack leader role was really the shift that was made at that time.
So with it being the backpack leader, you only have a half, and a half at the elementary schools. That's still, if we had librarians in those schools, those would be full-time positions, correct?
The board could choose to allocate however they so deem appropriate. The board could choose to allocate a full library media specialist. It's really all about priorities as we think about what we want to do for the future of schools and students in our district. At that time in 2019, that decision was made based on certain priorities of reallocating towards instructional leadership. Backpack leaders, in theory, were a little more agile than media specialists. due to some of the certifications and different things that occurred, backpack leaders were able to teach different classes and also manage some other pieces and parts. Again, that was a decision that occurred, I guess it would be 5 years ago.
I guess my question is, if, granted, we've moved past as far as actually having librarians in the school,
It's a half-time backpack leader, half-time AP. It would be the same person, so it's a whole person that would be in the school.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I'm
Okay.
sorry I didn't clarify that.
that's okay. That makes more sense.
Just some context, as we look at this larger scale, it's about a $500,000 shift when we did that shift from media specialists to backpack leaders. We're just essentially taking and reallocating about a $500,000. So today, in the same way, the board wanted to evaluate the future of media specialists in our district. It's something we can certainly do, collaboration with principals and district leaders and teachers across the district. It's about a $500,000 investment, just as a reference point. We do know that our 2 library media specialists provide a lot of value to our schools, and we see that role continuing to evolve as our priorities as a district focus on foundational literacy and continue to advance reading, writing, and thinking across the curriculum. Any other questions?
If there's no questions, then the recommended motion is to approve the 2024-25 final SPDM allocations as presented. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
All right, Ms. Foley makes a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, thank you. Mr. Norman, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion passes. All right. Moving on to salary, schedule, and job descriptions.
This is a major conversation every year, especially as we've continued to see the challenges in inflation. But the conversations we're having tonight, similar to the media specialist conversation, is really a 5 to 6 year conversation we've been having. And I think over that time period, we've continued to know that investing in people, putting people first is the key in that work. We've also continued to be very thoughtful about operational efficiencies. Ms. Rogers and Mr. Martin tonight will be talking about some of those pieces and parts that we've continued to shore up to allow ourselves to continue to invest in people. And additionally, as Ms. Sherhorn just shared, the $21.4 million in grant money has allowed us and afforded us some opportunities and flexibility to do other programming that we wouldn't otherwise be able to do. So the job descriptions, in a number of cases, are a byproduct of those grants that do exist. But we've been very fortunate in the Nelson County Schools to have a strong foundation that's continued to grow over the last couple of years, and a very strong grant writing process has allowed us access. This salary schedule and job description process is a months-long process. Really, it's a year-long process, but it's a months-long, very intentional process leading up to April of every year that includes a salary schedule review with a number of teams, strategic staffing meetings with principals, job description review with team leads and principals. This year, our recommendation to the board is to do a $2,000 across-the-board raise for all certified and classified professionals. That totals to around $900,000. Our additional recommendation is to increase all classified hourly employees by $1 plus, and that adds up to about a $300,000 investment. We have additional funding streams in transportation and in cafe that's emerged as we move into next year. That's going to allow us to invest further in those programs, in our cafes and in our transportation, but we're really looking at all classified team members having at minimum a $1 plus hourly raise. And finally, our final recommendation is to continue to invest in leadership pathways and the Amazon backpack and teacher leadership, which we've added around what we're calling micro-credentialing and literacy and some other programs across the district. Those are all really pieces and parts of things we've already been doing. Over the past 5 to 6 years, the average teacher in the Nelson County Schools has received approximately a 17.5% raise. which is around $9,000. We've also continued to invest in ways to think about flexibility for teachers. So on the right side there, we have $3,000, which is what teachers are paid for summer leadership pathways. So a teacher that chooses to be a part of summer leadership pathways today is making approximately $12,000 more than they would have been in 2019. We also additionally have other ways teachers can make additional compensation if they so choose through teacher leadership. A teacher that chooses to pursue some of those pathways, and this is without extended days, really, other than the summer leadership, could make up to $16,000 more today than they were making in 2019. Additionally, I saw this data, Alex, this goes back a little longer than 5 years. This data just shows you the increases over the last 10 to 12 years in these areas. You'll notice that our recommendation for 2025 puts a starting bus driver pay at over $20. In the same way, we see growth across all of our ecosystem for classified employees. Obviously, these increases for staffing, teachers, 15 to 20%, depending on where you're at in the salary schedule, are really a byproduct of us continuing to think about how we can put people first and optimize. So this includes some optimization through a number of systems as we think about how we're organized as a district and how we're thinking about staffing, as well as being operationally sound and frugal. So those are pieces and parts of our conversation. Ultimately, this conversation around salary schedule is about investing in people, continue to be thoughtful around operational efficiencies, continue to think creatively around the way we use grants and additional pieces and parts. So we know that this is a lot of consideration. I think Jessica and Alex have been looking and continuing to evaluate options, and we felt that this was we're in a good spot financially to make this investment in people. Of course, Alex and Jessica are here for any questions that you might have specifically regarding this recommendation. This is a summary, really, of a salary schedule that has lots and lots of numbers on it. So this is just across the board. This does not include the step. So a teacher also receives a step increase. On average, the average teacher with a $2,000 raise plus a step looks like approximately about a 5% raise if you take a little over 5% based on the average step and the $2,000. So that's essentially, it's not every person is not impacted the same on the percentage. It's just a $2,000 across the board recommendation. We do that because we feel like the first year teacher coming in will now make over $45,000. The 27-year teacher with a rank 1 is now going to make over $77,000. Any questions about the salary schedule? And then we can talk a little bit about job descriptions as well.
I like that we're investing in the teachers. I mean, I know it's going to be a challenge in the future to attract and retain good teachers, so I like this. And not just teachers, but also just the support staff throughout the district.
I think that knowing that transportation is going to be a little bit of a kickback based on legislation, it really allows us to give that back to the people that are doing the work. So I appreciate that that's something that we're not looking at, where can we use it somewhere else? We're actually putting it back into the people that are doing the work. And then also, it also makes us a bit more competitive locally, which I think is where we've struggled over the years, is I think this really puts us in a much more comfortable position with people in the surrounding areas.
Tracy, I could not agree more.
Very good.
Honestly.
Yeah.
I'm surprised when I see some of the salaries from 2013.
It's sad.
Yeah, it is. So
I would also like to add that when you approve the salary schedule, it is something that goes to retirement, to KDE, and to our auditors. So it's super duper important that we match it and we follow it, because it is matched up by retirement often and by our auditors. So I just want you to realize when you approve the salary schedule, it is our guidebook. It is exactly what we go by.
Thank you.
This is an easy decision for me. I make a motion we accept it.
I'll second.
So we do have
the job descriptions.
We do have the job description.
We got to put that in there with it.
And I just want to remind you, these have been out there for a week or so, and really these job descriptions are a byproduct of many of the different pieces and parts in the district: child care services, adult education, and other pieces and parts. So if you guys are ready to move, we can certainly do that.
Yeah, I didn't have any questions on the job description.
The job descriptions is what threw me for a loop.
Well, and can you explain, Superintendent Bradley, like
Yeah.
the reason, to update this from year to year?
Yeah, if Ms. Hogan's here too, she can come up and kind of talk through the process. So if you look at our job description review process, it's a lengthy process. Our HR team goes through. They have a mic over there as well. But as you'll notice, just this page is an example. We received an adult education grant, so that comes with a number of different jobs, a number of different state compliance pieces and parts. We're also shifting the way we do child care services. Some of those child care jobs are on here as well. Kim, I'll let you speak more broadly to the process.
Sure. So when a job description is approved, if you see that gray box that's at the top of the job description, that ties back to the salary schedule, and that's how everyone's pay is determined, and we can't deviate from that at all. So when the salary schedule is getting updated, the job descriptions are happening at the same time because we're paying based on what you're approving tonight. So if you approve the job description change for a teacher, that gray box ties back to the salary schedule, and you're saying that's what they're going to be paid throughout the year. That's all posted on our website. It's transparent to anybody all the time. It's all available on our website. We also go through this process because throughout the year, maybe someone's job changes a little bit, the duties of their job, the role that they have, that's updated in the job descriptions as well. We review that annually. That's attached to the job descriptions. When an auditor comes in, they know the people who do this role are paid this based on the salary schedule and the job description. And again, as Jessica said, that's all tied back, provided the KDE, our auditors, if they come in to do an audit and they want to look at a particular employee, they're pulling down that job description, comparing it to the salary schedule, and making sure what we paid them ties back to that schedule.
It's all sent to...
Especially retirement.
Yeah, because it's all sent to the state.
Yes. So every year when they come in to do an audit, they're looking at what's been approved here and that we're paying people based on exactly what was approved.
Okay.
And that's how they find their discrepancies if it occurs.
Correct. So to kind of,
They'll find it.
so to break that down, if you have a teacher who is also a coach, their teacher job description is going to pay for the teacher salary, and then they're going to receive a stipend for being a coach. But all of that is inside the salary schedule that is sent to the state to be approved.
Okay. Okay.
Is that
Thank
mic on?
you.
Is that mic on, Alex? The top one there. I don't know what's going on.
So, thank you for that explanation.
I really appreciate it.
So do we have now a motion to approve the fiscal year 2025 salary schedule and job descriptions as presented?
I'll make a motion.
I'll
Mr.
second.
Mormon, second, Ms. Milburn, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Okay, now we have the New Haven facility design. Mr. Pickett?
Sorry, Mr. Pickett's not here. He had some
Okay.
family in town.
Okay.
So upon board request, we really wanted to talk about the New Haven facility design as we look towards making decisions on the Up Center tonight. So just as a reminder, as we talked about recently with the board, I believe in October, November, and looks like January, the design of the New Haven School was updated to include a connector. These are just some photos of the design. This design does include the current building structure that exists. And you can see here, this is the current building as it is. This is the connector to the gym, and those modifications were made. This was the most recent drawing to that project. Originally, as we looked at this project for New Haven School, I think it's important to know that many of the classrooms that currently exist in that building are undersized. They were undersized, especially on this back end of the building, and we wanted to continue to expand some of the spaces there, and we did invest in remodeling the entire building. We also added some spaces. Well, these are not added. Some of these spaces were going to be used for the arts and some other programs that we wanted to offer as elective courses. In the same way, the Boston School will also have that extra middle school wing to work with. That was our original conversations. We wanted to provide additional spaces and opportunities for students as we invested in this plan. We also recognize that with rising costs, that it can give us all some consideration as we think about the current design and the potential costs. To talk about costs in January of this year, the board did approve this document that had the estimated cost of the construction at $13.9 million. So $13.9 million was the estimated cost of the New Haven School renovation as of January. As you know, estimates don't necessarily meet reality. With that said, that put the total bond potential at around $17 million with additional potential fees involved. Again, this includes contingencies, architect fees, etc. Those are all estimates at that time. So again, we were looking at about a $13.9, $14 million project. If we were to take the most recent bids into consideration, and you said these were at least 20% higher, then we'd be looking at approximately 17 to 18 million dollars if we went up 20%. And that just gives you some context. Obviously, we can't predict the future of bids, but we can get a sense of what our current reality is. So I share this as some conversation based on some of the feedback from the board about the New Haven project. So it appears that the board's consideration really is determining a little bit if we want to evaluate with Pickett and Possafume, if we want to consider other potential modifications to the building, or if we want to consider any other alternative structures. They could potentially provide that to us as early as some scenarios, as early as May or June of this year. I share that as context because that's essentially the feedback that I think I got from a couple of our conversations over the past week.
Yes, it needs to move ahead.
So I'm just going to rephrase. So I think we all are on the same page. We know the project needs to move ahead, but there seem to be some concerns around the potential costs of the project. Is that fair?
Very.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it would, I mean, and this is in response to, which we probably kind of did it out of order. We just getting these bus garage and the up center bids back, and it is just more than we anticipated. So we have to expect that the same thing would be true for New Haven. So, we want this to be a great project, but if there's, I don't think it would hurt to look and see if there's anything that is it needed. If it's, I think we all agree we like the connector. I know we voted on that last. I think that's an essential part of it. It costs more, and I believe it needs to be there. So there's things that. I would be in favor of them looking at it. They can do so fairly quickly, just to see. And if there isn't any wasted space, then I think we have to just go forward.
I don't think there's any wasted space. I'm ready to move forward with it. It's been long enough with this New Haven school thing. It's been talked about for years, even when I was on board the first time, and I'm just beating a dead horse here, guys. Let's move on with this New Haven project. It's my opinion.
Well, the design teams that went through it, they went and they really did a great job organizing this plan.
He sat down with me and showed me some great drawings and the plans of the walkway and everything. It looks nice. So it turns out like that. I'm in love with it.
3 people then in favor of moving forward?
I don't know. There's not anything to
Really,
vote on.
there's no choice. Yeah, they need it. We promised. That's just the way it is. That is an important section that needs to be up to date, and it's not. We need to move on.
So I guess no action taken on that.
I will say, I think we could keep a similar structure, but simply just allow the architects to understand some of the tensions the board is feeling around the potential space.
So one of the questions that I had previously, whenever I met with Mr. Bradley, was the size of the building, considering the amount of students that are there currently and the amount of students that are going to be there in the future. So the middle school wing that I guess is currently, that is currently there, because from what I've read, they're basically taking the same exact floor plan and just revamping it. So we're pulling kids out, but we're keeping the same amount of space.
Yeah, but we added the preschool to that too. So we've added some students there too. And, you know,
So if the preschool students are not currently there,
they're there now. Yeah.
They're there now.
they are there now.
We've added students. We take the students away middle school away, then we put the preschool there.
But
we consider
currently,
now.
right, but currently, like, they're all there right now.
Yeah.
So currently, everybody is there. We're pulling out middle school kids. So my question is, are we gonna have wasted space?
I don't
We'll have
think
room to
there's
grow.
I don't think there's any wasted school space, gonna be. I think between preschool, I just don't think it's gonna be wasted. I think there's a lot of
Was there a capacity?
opportunities there to have a vision for other things in
I have
that
to look it
school.
up.
I thought he was gonna be here to be able to ask those questions too.
So I think that what I'm hearing is the board has consensus. Everyone wants to move forward. There seems to be just some question around capacity and how the current space is used, and that's something I think we could naturally update the board on in the month of May. Either way, without taking any further action.
Great.
I do think that. So I will be. We connect with the architects every Monday morning for 20 minutes. In these meetings, we just get kind of a weekly update. One of the things that they've been grappling with over the past few months is the infamous pipe that exists underneath of the building that's existed for 50 years. And that's something that they are evaluating and considering different options on. And you will hear about that because it's continued to be a conversation piece for the past 3 to 4 weeks in our conversations. So I share that with you as just one example where the architects are considering different, pieces and parts of this. So.
All right.
Okay.
So moving on to the up center and bus garage bids. Is Mr. Codell here? Tim?
Mr. Davis is here.
Okay.
We have Mr. Davis, Mr. Ward, as well as fiscal agents from Ross St. Clair. So before we talk about the bids, I do just want to revisit with everyone what the space looks like. It's easy to talk about money. It's easy to talk about ideas. But I believe Stephen presented this to us in November, an update in November, and this is part of that conversation. I think we do need to acknowledge that this is a transportation center in that it has parking for 70 buses. It has quite a bit of site work involved in it. It's not just a building. Additionally, the building was a pre-engineered fabricated structure, and that's a part of the design process with these 5 bays. This is also part of an investment that we know the board has been interested in making in transportation for a long time, right? The current bus garage is in 1972 or 1978, Jeff? Mid-70s. Because of that, we also knew part of the master plan at Nelson County High School, we wanted to be able to shift some of those resources for the bus garage. But I do want everyone to acknowledge the bus garage is not profoundly elaborate. It's not a Gothic cathedral. It's a relatively standard building with a lot of technology involved and a lot of engineering involved in that structure. So I share that. And as we also talk about the up center, this part here is completely new. This part here is obviously completely new, and the entire center is incurs a renovation. I share this as a reminder as we talk about this project. There are a lot of pieces and parts to these projects at the Up Center and in the bus maintenance facility. I share that as a reference because we have short memories, tend to have short memories. What exactly are we talking about tonight? And those are just some pieces and parts of what we're talking about. So Mr. Davis, if you just want to review the bids, and then we'll allow for some further conversation around those.
So I don't know how much detail we want to get in with each individual bid, but just a little background on how we went about this. So we had 27 bid packages broken out for both of these jobs. You could bid them individually, or you could bid them as a combo. We bid the job originally on February 8th. We missed 7 bid packages that weren't bid, so we had to rebid those, and we also negotiated with some of the other bidders on that first round. We rebid March 28th, I believe it was, and received all bids except for one still. So we negotiated with that bid to get to these final numbers. I'm not sure what all is in the slide, but I can
Codell bid analysis.
Yeah, we can go through it. So, I guess the easiest way to look at this, up at the top left-hand side, this is your bus garage. So bid packages 1 through bid package 12. The original budget for this project was $3.6 million under your left-hand side. As you can see on the right-hand side, the bids came in at $6.9 million. We had a lot of trouble getting, and as Mr. Bradley said, this is just a pre-engineered metal building. There's nothing fancy about it. Really no reason for the cost to be as escalated as it was, but we struggled to get vendors to bid the project. Once they did come in, I mean, the job on this doubled what it should have been. We did, the people that did bid the job though, the numbers were very comparable. They were on top of each other. I think there was only 2 instances where we only had one bidder in this particular project here. So, you know, with the current market we're in, the prices they're not going to get any cheaper with the rest. So moving on down the page to the Up Center, that's bid packages 13 through bid package 26. This project was originally $13 million, roughly, and it came in at just $18,719. This one is closer to the budget, even though it's still $5.5 million over. But in reality, there's only 2 bid packages throughout this that takes up almost $4.5 million. So with those 2 bid packages out of the question, this project alone is only $1.2 million over the original budget. But those 2 bid packages were the mechanical and electrical, which is bid package 25, and then the general trades, which is bid package 14. They have a bulk of the work, and again, we struggled. I mean, we called all around the state to get people to bid this job on the plumbing and electric side, the plumbing and mechanical side. And with the current market we're in, the engineers they've all reviewed it, the price is within where it needs to be. So, but both jobs together, $25,652,000 is where the bids came in at. As you see down at the bottom right there.
Anything you want to add, Mr. Ward? We talked about this in our pre-meeting. He said, no, I think Wes covered it.
The only thing I think I could add is we've been working on projects similar in scale to this all over the region, and what we're seeing is that this bidding result is consistent with what's happening everywhere else. If you talk to other school districts, they're probably having similar experiences. As Wes said, we don't anticipate that this will get better in the short term. So we have recommended approval of these bids, but obviously there's some real confidence that we're doing because they are higher than
So any more discussion around the bids?
So you both have said you don't anticipate these prices to decrease. As we all know, once the market kind of flattens out, most of the time we don't see a big drop in goods. And of course, we're not going to see a drop in labor because that's not going to change. What happens in a situation, let's say one of the bid packages is rejected? Does that also put us off center of getting that rebid? You know, because I think we're sort of in this, I think you guys have used the term bidder fatigue. Is that sort of what your senses would be in this situation?
Yeah, I mean, we've had bidders that didn't want to bid the job because of previous jobs and the outcomes. We've had bidders that, some of these maybe have been the low bidder for this time, that almost wanted to back out because of certain circumstances lately. We've already had to ask the first set of bidders to extend their bids for an additional 20 days because we're already past their time for the 60-day. Last week, I think, was the 60-day mark. So bidder fatigue, yes, is a huge possibility. I mean, it would be very difficult to even go back now and get somebody to provide a price against, what's already here. Some of these packages, we had 5 to 6 bidders in it. Some of them may have had only 1 or 2. But it would be tough to, depending on which bid package you're talking about. If it was something, like paint, that would be easier to get mechanical electrical or something like that. But moving forward, getting bidders to bid Nelson County work is all going to depend on the outcome of these results tonight.
So you both have been doing this for quite a while, and in years past, this isn't the first time we've seen inflation. In years past, when you've seen bids come and be a little higher than anticipated, and let's say and again, I'm just guessing here, let's say they rejected the bids and they waited a year. Did you save that much money waiting a year? Was there $1 million savings?
On a project this size, I mean, maybe a couple $1 million, but that's if the material price went down. I don't think on a job to this scale that you would realize the savings. The other aspect you've got to look at is, if it's not bidder fatigue, it's the fact that people have to do work. I mean, these bidders, the market is so saturated right now with work. They look at a renovation job basically pass it over to go to a new job, and they know it's going to be approved, they're going to start working immediately. So it's not all bidder fatigue or the fact that the materials have escalated. It's a lot of there's just so much work out there. There's so much.
Other thoughts on the board?
Put those numbers back up, please. Okay, when you got down to the bottom, make it bigger, please. There you go. Okay, combine. That number, 25 million, tell everybody what that is.
That is for both projects combined, so the bus center and the bus garage and hub center. Bids, only bids, so that doesn't include the architectural fees, soft costs, furniture, anything like that. That is just the bids for the scope of work with actually building the building.
Okay, now where the 10 million comes in that the state granted us.
So the 10 million covers, so you can take 10 million off of that for the cost to the Nelson County. Yeah,
where
right.
is the 10 million combined with this?
Approximately
so
10.4.
if you take off the 10 million, that's $15 million. Is that right?
That's right,
what we need to know?
15.6 plus soft costs, so that'd be architect fees, construction manager fees, some of the additional costs that go along with the project, that we've already incurred some of those costs. For example, on the Up Center, we've paid a significant, cost to Stephen Ward and their team through the design process. They've been working on it for 12 to 18 months.
Then we're repaying
Yeah, we're recouping some of that money.
So really, you're not losing any money on that
That's
realm
right.
of it, that
Yeah,
part of it.
That's right.
Okay, then if you take that 25 million and you're telling us that 10 million of it you take off automatically because of state, right?
That's right.
Okay, so this is what we're faced with is $15 million, right?
Plus
15.
all the soft costs.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to get you to say.
I don't know the
cost.
Well, Miss.
If we can go to one of the next slides on the BG1, it should show those costs.
Okay, let's move on to it then, please. I'm trying to get a final as close as we can. What?
These BG1s, Stephen, these don't cover the bonds. Or do they? Okay, yeah. So the Up Center alone, a bond, that's with all additional costs, including the 10 million, is $11.9 million.
Okay, that includes the 10?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're saying really we would owe on top of, just for that. Now tell me if I'm wrong, I'm right, or whatever, is if we've got 10, that leaves 1.9 million, correct?
22. So 11.9 would be the additional after we.
That's what I'm saying.
That's right.
Yeah.
I want to know exactly what we're up with.
The combined bond issue for if you want to do the two projects would be $19,315,000.
Okay, so I was pretty close.
Yeah, of which approximately $400,000 is actually paid by SSCC through formal SSCC offers of assistance. So roughly
$18,900,000 would be paid by the district. Currently, you have about $47 million in bonding capacity as a reference point. Our projection over the next 2 years is we'll have about $76 million in bonding capacity. I can share those numbers as well. Basically, the board is really making a determination tonight if it's one project, two projects, or no projects. The cost of two projects tonight, $18.9 million. Up Center only is $11.9 million.
The combined bond issue would be $19,315,000 for the two projects.
Minus the $415,000, but yeah.
Okay, but we haven't even considered New Haven though.
That's right.
That's what I'm trying to get at. We're counting money that we don't have.
We're playing Monopoly.
Yes, we are. And to me, in my mind, the importance of New Haven is first, with the Up Center being second and the bus garage
being third.
That to me is my priority.
Just to follow up on what Mr. Brad said, again, for everybody who hasn't been in the White Salt RSA for your fiscal agent, and I know there's 4 of you who remember I came a few months ago. Gave kind of an update on your projected bonding for the next few years. As Mrs. Bradley mentioned, if we were to calculate the bond potential that hit then, it's kind of a snapshot. You had $47 million of bonding potential available at that time. So if you do the fund right now presented you $47 million. But what we showed is on the slide up there, if you look out between now and 2026, bonding potential is calculated using cash flows, projection of how much in cash flows to borrow, how much to pay for. So we go out 2 years, we can accomplish selling bonds for $87,350,000 in bonds between now and 2026, based on your current revenues, nickels, capital outlay, and backing out your current debt, not adding any additional revenue on top of that. You're going to get growth in those funds because very fortunate, your assessments grow at a very rapid rate. Your assessments for your nickels are the bulk of the building fund. So as your assessments grow, the revenue available to pay on new debt grows as well. So that's why that number goes from 47 now to, we say, we can actually bond up to $87 million between now and 2026. We've got to allow for some of that assessment growth between now and then.
So last year, just to review with the board, we talked about projects we are currently paying on for the last 20 years.
That's right.
And I bring those up here. This was a little over a year ago. So I put green for Bloomfield Elementary at Oak Ridge because we're no longer paying on those projects. All
Two are paid off.
Yeah, all these projects are 20-year projects. I think what's important to also know is that currently, and I think Mr. Salisbury would reinforce this, I'm not saying that, I'm not making a recommendation to pass most of the projects by saying this, but I am acknowledging currently the Nelson County Schools has the lowest facility debt ratio in the region and one of the lowest debt ratios in the state of Kentucky.
That's good.
Yeah.
We need to keep it that way.
And I think it's, at the same time, we have, part of that's because we do have significant revenue that's coming in for facilities. That revenue we really have seen and continue to invest in over the past 20 years. That revenue comes from the bottom 16.8 cents of the Nelson County tax rate. It's been fixed since 2004. So that's been a 20-year journey. Facility funds longitudinally must be spent on facilities. NCS will generate between $150 to $200 million in facility revenue for the next 20 years for facility upgrades for students and community. And I think that's just a reminder. As we talk about, really, we've been April 20th, 2021, we started conversations around facilities. Led us here to our first real decision as we come thinking about bonding in 2024. These are some of the bigger conversations we've continued to have. I just want to reiterate that as we think about some of these programs. Facility planning is really about long-term investment in student opportunity. If you think about some of the schools, if we look at some of those schools on that list, we got the Boston School, you've got the Bloomfield Elementary School, you got many schools we've invested in over the last 20 years to provide those longitudinal opportunities for students. We also know that our Area Technology Center and our bus garage, by nature, the quality and conditions of those buildings is relatively at a lower quality than all of our other buildings. And we continue to think about that as a part of our facility planning process, and that's one of the reasons we went through these projects. So as I share that, I just wanted to reiterate that. We've skipped over some of that tonight because we've talked about it so much in the past. Any other questions about facility funding?
So whenever you were speaking about the revenue, how you're wanting it to go, go back to your, okay, go forward. Stop. Okay, how the debt to revenue ratio projected for the next however many years, were you taking from previous years when we still had the barrel tax? Is that included in that? Because we are no longer going to have that.
So the barrel tax doesn't just end, right?
But we know that it's going to end.
But we're protected in the way the law is written to stabilize. That means we don't get additional barrel tax growth. But it also doesn't mean that we don't have additional property in the Nelson County that does continue to grow, right? So here's what's important to know, is this particular conversation we're having tonight around bonding capacity is a conservative conversation. So when Mr. Salisbury talks about bonding capacity and he says 76 million by 2026, he says that conservatively. On the aggressive side, he would say 87 million. So we're saying we have 76 million to 87 million by 2026. No, that's not that far away. That's part of just the conversation. Obviously, these are larger conversations for the board to consider, and it's good that we are having this conversation tonight. But he wouldn't be sharing that if he wasn't very confident that that's where our revenue is currently leaning towards. In fact, I think they're very confident that Nelson County is a very fortunate place with revenue.
And as an example, that 6,696 number is actually fiscal 24 numbers. Katie put out last Friday, numbers projected for next year, and that's actually up to 7 million. You are up to 7,339,000. Right now, you're dedicated to about $4.6 million a year in bonds you've already issued. You've got $7,339,000 revenue to service that. If you were to do that higher of those two options, the $19 million bond issue, we would jump from approximately $4.6 million to about $5.4 million, depending on where the interest rates come in. So again, you're going to have a cushion of almost $2 million of excess revenue that you only need for this project. The mortgage is a little bit different from a mortgage. If you want to buy a house and go get a mortgage, you pay the exact same amount per month for the term of the mortgage, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years. Bond issue is different because we can structure it to lower your payments in the beginning. Without where you have all this outstanding debt that you got to get past, we can make the payments higher years after that debt goes off. So that's how the bond grows from 46 million up to 87 million. We're accounting for its cash flows. It's not just a hard line.
I think too, these are districts in our region, okay? This district here has $387 million in debt. They are not that far away, and it's not Jefferson County, it's not Fayette County, okay? I'm not naming the names of the districts, I'm just letting you know. We've got Bullitt County, Hardin County. We've got schools around us, school districts right around us that have triple to quadruple the debt to revenue ratio we have. I share this to say we're fortunate in Nelson County. We're fortunate to have a strong foundation in our property values. We've also been fortunate that we haven't spent any money in the last 13 years on any new projects. That's how we've got to where we are, really.
That's very true. We're saying the bulk of your debt goes off in 2030. So that's only 6 years from now. So yeah, after that, I mentioned, your bond payments, if you don't do anything now, are roughly $4.6 million. Starting in 2031, they drop down for a few years, and if you go out past 2032, 33, you don't have any debt. So you've got the full $7,339,000 to pay debt on the new bonds. In those years, we're making the bond payments higher on potentially this project and potentially behind that new project, and that's what allows you to go to the forward. That's how we get to that $78 million in future bonds.
You know, the Up Center, it's unfortunate that it's coming in higher, but I can stomach that. You've explained it, and it is what it is. And I think this is a project we're all committed to doing, and we've got money to apply. So that one, I'm in favor of that one. The harder one for me is the bus garage, because it's a bus garage. That's a hard one, and it's double what we anticipated. But I'm torn on that one, truly. I'm torn on that one. But the Up Center,
I'm torn on both.
And I guess that's sort of what I'm sort of trying to lean in on our two experts, and even the bank expert, really, the financial expert, is what is your recommendation? Because it is difficult because I really want to know, if we wait 12 months, are we really going to save anything when we could be doing these projects together? And I know it's not a big savings to do them together, but it is a big inconvenience to not do them together. And are we burning bridges that we really don't have to burn when you talk about not having enough people put in bids currently? Are we going to turn around in a year and have 9 or 10 bid packages still open?
I'll let them speak to the construction side, but I can tell you from a financial standpoint, you can absolutely afford this. As Mr. Bradley said, we're in a fortunate position right here to be able to afford it. A lot of districts can. I understand the big numbers, and it's nerve-wracking about doing the $19 million bond issue, but under the guidelines and instructions that are in place for school districts in Kentucky, we work with over 100 school districts in the states and do this all over the place. Under the guidelines that are in place to protect school districts, make sure that you only borrow what you can afford. And absolutely afford these projects, you can afford the new Haven project. And then once you get beyond that, you're obviously going to question the scope of that. What
Okay, I gotta say this. If we're talking about schools, okay, I have no problem, and the bus garage is just not a bus garage. The bus garage is an essential part of, well, thank you. The bus garage is an essential part.
Hold up, we clapped to Don and Barry there, so that's a moment. Thank you
I know
all.
it, thank
Appreciate
you,
all.
yes, I appreciate it. I know it, that's a moment. What I'm saying is to prioritize in my mind, okay, what do we already owe? What is our financial, what do we owe now in bonding?
$39 million is what we owe today.
Whoa, wait, okay? If we owe $39 million today, and we're gonna add this money on top of it, correct? Now, let's be realistic. You know, you're talking about the year 2039 and 40 and all that. I may not even be here then. I want to see something that we're here. Well, I'm just saying, I'm being honest. I'm just saying, if we add all this up, I hate to burden taxpayers or anybody else to pay for this stuff when all of it is not. What are we going to do in another project that is dear to all of us is Nelson County High School? You're not talking about, we're talking about just getting things fixed. We're not talking about an $80 million deal. We're just talking about fixing what is wrong. That's important to us too. That's important too. It should be important to everybody. But this number's, to me, is out of sight. This number is out of sight. I think what I would hope we would do was what we promised, which would be the New Haven and which would be the Up Center. Now, that's my priorities.
And that's very fair.
Yes.
Your point about we owe this much and we're adding on this.
Yes.
I think the way I would look at it is like I mentioned, right now your building fund revenue is $7.3 million for next year for fiscal 2025. That money can only be used for capital projects or investments in bonds. If you don't get another penny of barrel tax, your assessment's staying completely flat for the next 20 years. You don't get any growth at all. You are going to continue to have $7,339,000 a year. That always has to be 15 cents of your assessments goes into the building fund. That can't change under statute. So you have, if you, like I mentioned, if you do the larger of these two projects, which I'm not going to say you should do both of them, you should do one, you should do one. That's fair to say.
I understand that.
If you were to do both projects, as I mentioned, your bond payments right now are $4.6 million. If you were to do both of them, for 2030, they're going to go up to about $5.4 million. And you know, we're going to come in with bids on the bonds. So again, you have $7,330,000. If you don't get any more growth at all, you're going to have to service roughly $5.4 million in bonds for these projects, including the debt you've already issued, plus this money. So you're going to continue to have a roughly $2 million cushion on top of what you potentially owe if you move forward with this money.
But that cushion may disappear.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, we're going to be honest. What if the economy tanks and we're sitting here with all this and we can't make what we should make?
Then all the districts.
And then we're all in this mess. That's all I'm saying. You know, I'm thinking, what would you do to your house? I mean, how would you do your own financing?
So I do.
I'm just thinking of a priority. That's what I'm thinking. You know, that's what I'm supposed to do. Think of priorities. I'm thinking of my people in my district. I'm thinking of our kids in our district.
Well,
Is there any general fund uses for these bonds? Are we using any general fund?
No.
No, we're not using any general fund. We're using interest made on the $10 million that we got from the grant. Which is
clarify that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it sounds like the board is in a place where where you want to evaluate whether you're interested in moving on the Up Center and the bus garage.
I think the Up Center, I've heard a couple of people say that the Up Center is something they're definitely interested in doing. Let's just make some motions. We discussed it. How about that? All right. Do I have a motion to move forward on the Up Center as presented?
I'll make a motion for the Up Center be presented.
To approve bids. Do I have a second on that?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor of moving forward on the Up Center?
No.
Okay, all opposed? Got a no from Ms. Milmer. Okay, so it looks like we want to move forward on the bids for the Up Center. All right, let's look at the bus garage, okay? Do I have a motion to move forward with the bids on the bus garage?
I'll make a motion to move on the bids for the bus garage.
Okay. Ms. Bowling's made a motion. Do I have a second? You know, I'm gonna make a second. I'm convinced tonight that we might need to move forward on that. So I have a motion and a second. So all in favor? Moving on, we're talking about the bus garage. Okay, opposed? Okay, we got 2 nays and 3 4. Okay,
So we just to be clear, we just accepted bids for the bus garage and the Up Center.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so, all right, so now we need to
Now, wait a
move
minute,
on.
before we need to, I'm just gonna say one more thing. I mean, I don't have any problem, my mind is not
That's
clear
just
on
a
that
lot of
anyway.
money.
I'm thinking of money. I'm not thinking of bus garage or not bus garage. I'm thinking of the money.
What it's gonna
Okay,
cost.
now,
Absolutely.
Mr. Superintendent, tell us now how much we will be in debt with these 3 projects.
Now that we've approved
How much
everything.
are we, how much are we,
How much are we in
and
debt
how much
now?
are we talking about now?
So let's be
Whoa, whoa,
clear.
whoa. Wait a minute,
But
hold on.
you asked me to speak. No, you
How
don't
much
miss
are we
me.
talking about now? In your magic sheet?
Weird guy, you're taking my glasses off.
Better take his
Your
glasses.
debt outstanding would be about principal plus interest, roughly about $65 million.
Did y'all hear that? $65 million.
that includes the old debt and the next, the old debt and the next, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So I just want to reiterate, districts all around us, all across the state of Kentucky, have continued to invest in their facilities. As you see, this is a reference from the other districts around us. These are neighboring districts. I just want to reiterate, we still will be fine. I'm just reminding you.
No, wait a minute.
Investing.
We've already voted on this.
Right, I'm just reminding you.
saying, I don't care what the other districts are. I'm
They ain't us.
caring about our district.
Us.
That's us.
And you know, we voted, and I think you all make I think it's a legitimate concern. I mean, I really do. We voted
We voted and it's done.
I think you all have legitimate
I think we made a great investment not with the Up Center. I mean, I'm happy with that.
Well,
I know it's a lot of money. I know it's.
the fact that it may not get better in the future is the reason I feel
We'll get so much out of this
we're
investment.
stuck. But okay, so now moving on.
Okay, moving on.
Let's move forward.
Okay, with acceptance of the bids, let's see, the next step would be the district finance.
Let's sign
So
on the dotted line.
so we have to approve the updated BG1s that allow us to then enter into the district finance corp, that then allow us to essentially sell bonds.
Okay.
Okay.
So what's
All
in,
right.
These are the numbers that we just reviewed, that Stephen just reviewed.
Okay.
So we can review them again.
So just to tell you what was on the screen there, we had to make separate numbers for if you approved both projects versus just one.
Okay.
Some of the bids for the Up Center would have gone up if you had accepted only the Up Center.
Well, you didn't tell us that.
How much?
Some of the bids ended up a little discounted. So since you've approved both projects, now we have to approve separately the BG1s and BG3 for both projects. And this includes all of those additional soft costs that Mr. Bradley was talking about, including furnishings, including technology. For instance, the Up Center has $136,000 in technology that's separate from the construction project. $194,000 in equipment and furnishings. So this one, these are the all-in.
These are estimates. These are, I mean, we're anticipating that cost, but they're close estimates.
Okay.
This is
So,
what the bond sale will be based on, is these documents.
Okay, and so can we do that as a joint motion to
Yes.
approve BG1 and BG3 for each project to correspond to approved contract values? It looks like that is the recommended motion. I'll make the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a second. So all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Any opposed to this? Okay. Motion passes. All right.
Okay.
So now,
Just remember that 65 million.
I also just want to celebrate, that is also the biggest, by far, one-time grant the Nelson County Schools has received in its history and will be able to utilize at just over $10.5 million that was contributed as a byproduct of the work going on through Karen Lee and Laura Arnold. So thank you for your services. Ms. Deaton, my understanding is we need to read this resolution aloud.
all right. I might.
Really quick, for some background, the way that school districts in Kentucky, all the way from the Times going to Jefferson County Schools, the way to finance projects is you issue a called lease revenue bonds. It's a two-step process. The board approves a resolution to enter into a lease agreement with the Nelson County School District Finance Corporation, which you all are all members. We'll take a recess in the board meeting to convene the meeting of the Finance Corporation. They actually do the resolution to issue bonds and enter into that same lease agreement with the board. It's again, it's a procedural step with that, and it's all school construction projects are financed. So the first step is for the board to approve your resolution to enter into that lease agreement with the school district finance corporation.
Okay. So I guess I'll read the resolution.
I'm happy to do it if you like that. You're welcome to.
No, go. Yeah, that's great.
This is a resolution of the Board of Education of Nelson County, Kentucky, authorizing the agreement and execution of a lease agreement with the Nelson County School District Finance Corporation and any further necessary agreements approving certain architect's plans for the construction of the certain school building project, authorizing the approving and execution of the supplement, determining disclosure procedures and execution of tax compliance procedures, approving the plan financing and cost of said project.
Okay. Do we have a motion to adopt the resolution authorizing the School District Finance Corporation to issue revenue bonds for the purpose of the construction related to the Up Center and bus maintenance projects?
Motion.
Okay, we have a
I'll
motion. Second. I'll second. All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Okay.
This is the motion now.
All right, so now we're going to move into the District Finance Corporation. So,
We need a motion and a second to temporarily recess the board meeting to convene finance.
to convene that for purposes, okay, so do you have a motion to recess the regular session of the Board of Education and convene the District Finance Corporation meeting?
I'll make a motion.
All right, Tracy?
I'll second.
All right, second, Nicole? All right, all in favor? Aye. None opposed, so we moved into that. All right, we call this meeting of the Nelson County District Finance Corporation to order on April 16th, 2024. Let's see. All right, so we first need a motion to adopt the following officers within the Finance Corporation. You see them listed. Amanda Deaton is president, David Norman vice president, Nicole Milburn, Tracy Bowling, Diane Berry as directors, Superintendent Bradley as secretary, and Jessica Rogers as treasurer. Do I have a motion to adopt, to appoint the officers as listed? Lots of motions here. Do I have a motion for that? All right, Ms. Bowling, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Dave, all right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, so that motion passes. We've appointed our finance officers. All right.
Dwight, what is the number that we're looking at here?
19,315,000.
Okay.
Now, Madam President, if you'd like, I'll read the resolution.
I would love for you to read that one. Yes.
This is a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Nelson County School District Finance Corporation relating to providing for the issuance of $19,315,000 principal amount subject to a permitted adjustment of 10% of the school building revenue bonds in accordance with sections 58.180 and 162.120 through 162.300 and 162.35 of the Kentucky Revised Statutes. Provide funds for school building purposes, providing and determining the duty of said corporation in connection with the operation of the school property, Creation of funds sufficient to pay the principal of the interest on said revenue bonds as and when they mature. Creation of adequate maintenance and insurance funds. Authorizing and approving the execution of supplement to continuing disclosure procedures and the execution of tax compliance procedures. And authorizing the execution of the lease of such foregoing property to the Board of Education of Nelson County Schools.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the Finance Corporation resolution?
I'll make a motion.
Okay. Mr. Norman, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Ms. Foley, second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the motion passes.
Thank you all. And I do this a lot. I was at the same point of Joe. And don't blame me for all these motions and stuff. Right,
I'm just glad you're willing to read them. That's good enough for me. Okay,
Thank you.
so I need a motion to adjourn this meeting of the District Finance Corporation.
Motion.
All right, Mr. Norman, motion. Second from Ms. Milburn. All in favor? Aye. All right, so we adjourn that, move back to the regular meeting. That's a lot of meeting. Okay. So now I need a motion to reconvene the regular session of the Nelson County School Boards. All right, second.
I'm getting motion sickness.
All right, all in favor?
What are we doing? What are we
Motion
motioning?
passes, so now we're back in the regular session. Okay. So now, thank you. Mr. Wards?
Well, these are going to seem relatively cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I agree to that.
So just a reminder, in May of 2023, we shifted $2.1 million at the time they were originally set aside for athletic upgrades at Thomas Nelson and Nelson County High Schools. We shifted that money to provide more flexibility. In October of 2023, the board allowed us to move ahead and begin the bidding process for required parts of the project that must be bid. Tonight, Stephen is simply just updating us on those bids.
So for Nelson County High School, the district is pursuing some parts of improvements at Nelson County High School through cooperative purchasing, so we don't need to be involved in that. Those bids have already been established, and the district can pursue that work on their own. But the resurfacing of the track is something that did require that we get involved and do produce bid documents, take competitive bidding. We received 2 bids for the resurfacing project, both from firms out of St. Louis, which was interesting. But the low bid, I'm on the wrong one. Nelson County High School was Mac Construction and Mago Construction, so 2 local contractors. So that resurfacing, the low bid was Mac Construction. It was $321,500. We looked at that bid pretty closely, and there's allowances built in for things that we need, and it was a good bid. So we were recommending approval of that one. The other project, Thomas Nelson, in order to do the synthetic turf at the field, because it is a natural turf field now, there's some earthwork and storm drainage that has to happen, and that was something that we also had to document and competitively bid. That was the one that we got 2 bids for, both out of St. Louis. Mid-American Sports Construction out of St. Louis is the low bid. We learned a little bit about them, all their references. It is a good bid, and we're recommending that one as well.
Okay.
Wait a where's Nelson County?
This one we
So
approved
the chunks we don't.
bid approval,
Same
our
price?
recommendation letters, and the BG1 and BG3 revisions
As long as all of them
in
get
one action.
Okay. So we just need to, I guess the recommended motion is to approve the bids as presented, authorize the execution of contracts, update BG1 and BG3 to correspond to approved contract values. Is that right? Okay. Do we have a motion for that?
I make a motion.
All right, Ms. Bowling made a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, thank you. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Okay.
Thank you, Stephen.
So tonight, we've made about a 12 to 15 year investment in our 2 athletic facilities at our high schools. We also made obviously a substantial investment in the future of career and technical education and in the future sustainability of our transportation department. If that's not worth celebrating, I don't know what is. So, big celebration tonight. In addition to that, we also generated a $2,000 across-the-board raise for all employees. For all classified and certified professionals, in addition to $1 plus an hourly raise, and continue to invest in accelerating compensation for all employees across the district. Another huge celebration. Next meeting is at Bloomfield Middle School on Tuesday, May 14th, followed by what is currently June 11th at the Samuel Fields Airport and July 16th at the Early Learning Center.
Before we adjourn, I just want to add one thing to the minutes for the meeting, which is just the commissioner's letter that was dated April 5th. I just want to add it to the minutes. I'll give you a copy of that.
Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn the regular session of the Nelson County Board of Education?
I'll make a motion.
All right.
I'll second.
All right. Motion is second. All in favor? Aye. All right.
Are you just gonna take any of these?